Meanwhile, this afternoon, news of another drive-by shooting in KwaZulu-Natal, this time in Tongaat, believed that a 38-year-old female driver shot multiple times while coming home from work. So this could be a hit, is what the preliminary information is telling us. But eNCA's Dasen Thathiah is on scene and has the latest news now. Dasen, you arrived just an hour or two ago. What is the very latest news on this?
Well, Sal, another day in Durban and unfortunately another shooting here. And this time on yet another busy street. You'll see that emergency services as well as police and the security officials are on the scene. In fact, the scene is still cordoned off. It's being processed currently. It's just here off to my right. The victim was traveling down this road. It's one of the main roads in Tongaat. And we're told that while she was here, the traffic was quite heavy. And that's why she was moving very slowly. In fact, just here next to where I'm standing now, there are the markings showing where the shooter had fired and where the bullet casings had fallen as a result of that. Those that are in the vicinity here are saying to us that he fired multiple times. I'll just walk along the side to almost follow the path of where the shooter may have been. He was, according to the eyewitnesses that we've spoken to, walking along this center island that I'm walking on now. And she was traveling in her vehicle just off to the left-hand side. And at that time, that's when she came under attack. And from what we're told, Sal, it's an absolutely scary account of how the shooter was walking alongside the vehicle. She couldn't go anywhere because she was in traffic, and he was firing at her point blank. We're told that she was hit at least 6 times in the head and in the body. And while we speak now, her body is still inside that vehicle. Her vehicle coming to rest against the barricades that are put up here because there's roadworks that's taking place in this area. And that's where the vehicle came to rest. The shooter running off on foot, we're told. He left down this way that you see just behind me, went around a building probably a few hundred meters from here, and that was the last that he was seen. There is currently a manhunt as they try to search for the person who opened fire on this woman.
So, I mean, really, Dasen, what you told us is that the traffic was actually slow, so it was pretty much a traffic jam, and this person arrives on foot, shoots point blank at this woman. Clearly, this wasn't a robbery. This wasn't a hijacking. This was a hit. I mean, what are police saying about the very likely possibility that this indeed was a hit, and similar incidents that we have seen in and around Durban in recent months?
Well, the police here, those that are investigating and even those that we've been talking to unofficially here, say that it is still very early to pick a motive just yet. You are right in saying that it's possible that it wasn't a robbery, because if you just look at the circumstances and how the shooting occurred, there was nothing taken from the vehicle. And in fact, just before this happened, we're told that she was traveling with someone else. There was an occupant, someone that she'd given a lift to. So for context, Sal, this was an employee of the Department of Home Affairs. That's just probably a few kilometers away from where we're standing now, down this road on the opposite end. I'm told about 3 or 4 kilometers away from where we are now. That's where the Home Affairs office is. So she was traveling down this way. I also had the opportunity in trying to establish what the possible motive was. I had the opportunity to speak to someone who knows the victim, and he was saying to me, and I think I must stress at this point, Sal, that it is still a case under investigation, but I'm just mentioning this to provide context, that she was currently a witness in another matter, in a criminal case, and she was due to give testimony in that particular matter. Whether that is linked, whether that is the reason for the shooting or not, we can't be certain at this point, but it does, I guess, provide context to exactly what it was that took place here today.
All right, so this 38-year-old woman, you can confirm, though, that she was a government employee working for the Department of Home Affairs, was going to be witness in a crime case, not necessarily whether this is a hit because of that. But you say she gave a lift to someone else. Was there someone else in the car when she was shot and killed? And has that person been liaising with the police, or has that person fled?
Well, that person was dropped off, interestingly enough, just not far from where I'm standing now. So he wasn't in the car at the time. In fact, I'm told that he was traveling with her. He was another colleague that she'd given a lift to. So she was traveling in this direction. In fact, I'll just walk you down this way just to give you an idea of what a developed area we're in now. On my right-hand side, there are restaurants. You can see that it's a busy street. And that's where she came under attack. So right now, police are, they were just a short while ago busy at the vehicle. They were trying to gather evidence from there. We are still waiting for the mortuary services to arrive. So until then, the scene has been cordoned off. And I guess that investigation has already started, because as part of that, witnesses will have to be interviewed. But at the same time, I think one of the main priorities now is to try to locate the suspect. When we spoke to some of those officials a short while ago, the security companies as well that were part of the search, they said that they were looking in the immediate area. As I mentioned, the suspect was on foot, which gives them an indication that he could possibly be in the vicinity. And we were also informed that police canines as well would have to be used to try to locate that shooter.
As with other similar attacks, it's the fact that these attacks are so brazen that they're carried out in full view of eyewitnesses. I'm thinking of the murder of eNCA. He was outside a popular restaurant in Durban, and it's astonishing. But this is a built-up area. We can see, as you say, there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of shops. Is there CCTV footage? Have they been able to pull that? And how long ago did this shooting happen?
It happened at about 4 o'clock. That's what we were informed by some of those that were gathered around here. You are correct in saying that there is CCTV footage, or at least there are cameras. Whether that footage can be retrieved, that's something that the investigators will have to find out. You know, we found in instances like this, there are lots of buildings, there are often lots of cameras, but sometimes that footage is not always accessible or not always clear, so that will form part of the investigation. You are very right in saying that it is a built-up area, and that there's also a trend, Sal, for these kinds of shootings to happen in very public spaces. You know, this is not a time anymore, apparently, where shooters follow people home and do this kind of thing outside their houses. Just down the road from where we're talking now, you may not be able to see too much of it because it's a bit dark, but just beyond those robots, this was an area in which we had reported from previously, because there was another shooting, you might recall it. There were two different shootings that happened on the same day. A VW Polo came under attack just not far from where I am, and a Ford Ranger up ahead. This is that road, and that was not very long ago. So I think that speaks to your point of how brazen these types of killings are becoming.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, Dasen, I'm not sure if you're able to share this information with us. You say that the victim, as an employee of the Department of Home Affairs, was a witness in a criminal case, which, let's stress, we're not sure if there's any link at all. Do you know anything more about that case?
Unfortunately not, but in the brief conversations that I did have with the person who is known to the victim, he said that it appears to be related to her previous place of employment, and it could be a fraud matter that they were involved in. But again, I stress it will form part of the investigation. This is these are some of the accounts that we've been given. She wasn't a senior employee at the Department of Home Affairs. I'm not sure of her exact position from those conversations that we've had, but she certainly was employed there. But I think what will be important now is to find out if there is in fact a link to that, or if it is related to anything else. Remember, there could be a number of possibilities, as we found out in past cases that we've seen like this. It could be anything ranging from domestic disputes to issues around the workplace, to crime, to robberies, and all of those things. And that will definitely be part of what the SAPS will be looking at.
All right. Well, Dasen Thathiah, thank you so much for bringing us what you know at this stage. An absolutely terrible incident in full view, clearly, of rush hour traffic. 38-year-old woman gunned down in her car in Tongaat this afternoon at about 4 o'clock. That was, of course, Dasen Thathiah, a senior reporter in Durban. Now, still